Hey guys, so welcome back aboard a blowy Southern Cross, a filthy Southern Cross. I'll show you in a second. It is about the end of March and we have 40 days until launch, and I have a lot of work to do. So let's get started. The boat, as I said, is a disaster zone, and there's a lot of work to do. Today what I want to get done is I need to drill out the holes for the new winch, and I'll show you that in a second. And I'd like to start getting the gel coat on the top of the coamings, this side and this side, possibly on this part of the coach roof and this part of the coach roof, so that I can get those winches installed again. Yeah, the new winch, if you remember from a video I did back in December, this was the existing winch. And as you can see, the plating has all come off. It looks like crap. So I was able to source this guy, which is a old stock but brand new Harken 16. Whoops. The bolt pattern is a little bit different from the old Lumar one that was on there, Lumar 16. But if you look at them side by side, they're almost a perfect match size-wise, except this one is a 2-speed, and whereas this is a single speed. So this will be an upgrade for sure, and I'm pretty excited about that. The fact that it's the anodized black as opposed to the plated silver will make it a little different from what I've got everywhere else on the boat, but so be it. So unfortunately, the whole pattern for the new winch doesn't exactly match the old one. And as you can see, there had been a few other winches here before. But what I've done is I've marked out as close as I can. These 3 holes sort of line up. This is just outside and this is just outside. But so be it, that's what I'm going to have to drill out. And I had filled these holes earlier in the year with thickened epoxy, so that should be strong enough. If I show you down here, if you'll remember from a previous video, I had reinforced the backing down here with 3 layers of woven cloth, so that should be good and strong. Did the same thing on this side, except I added a chop strand mat on the outside of it, and I've already drilled those holes out, since that was just the same winch that was going back. Now, doing gel coat at the end of March might seem a bit crazy. It's only 7 degrees outside, but actually in the boat here, with my little heater going, it's much warmer than that. And as you can see, I'm in short sleeves, so it's definitely able to you're definitely able to get the gel coat work down, and it'll stay. I did the entire rest of the cockpit last year in conditions just like this, if not even a bit colder, and it's been just fine, so no worries there. So one thing I'm just going to check on, and I'll show you how this winch comes apart. It's pretty easy actually. There's a single bolt in here with you can just remove the flathead, so that one bolt backs out like so, and then this piece slides right out. You can see the pawls are there. And there is the backing plate. So I'm just going to do a double check on my hole pattern. I know I probably did a double check when I marked it out a few months ago, but I better check it again. So if I bring this plate back over here, the line is going to come out of that clutch, and they want the line to come onto the gear. So I have to set it up in this orientation, and let me just check those again. Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with those locations. Now, some people would apply the gel coat and then do this afterwards, but since I've got it marked out already, I'm just going to go ahead and do it now.
As I probably mentioned in my other video, if you're scared about drilling holes in your boat, don't be. The one good thing about these plastic boats is they're easy to repair if you make a mistake. I don't think I've made a mistake here, but the point is, don't be scared.
I'll just show you how to put this thing back together in case you're interested in that. This piece goes on the bottom. This is the main drive gear, and it has to fit in with this gear here. So if we slide that down, line that up so that those two things operate together. There's two sets of bearings in here. They ride on this race here, and these gears line up with those gears. Like so. And lastly, those pawls work together with this socket here. That goes in like that. And then you simply have to tighten this screw back down. And there. All together. Now, one thing I want to show you here. So this stainless plate here is a plate for the line that comes from my roller furling. It comes up and then it just is it's a wear plate essentially. So I removed the screws from this. I just want to show you what it looks like underneath. Now I've sanded this, so this looks a lot cleaner than it once did. But just to give you a sense of how ugly it can actually be. And I had to pry this off, so it did not come off that easy because there's some sort of silicone or whatever here that was holding it down. But take a look at the color difference there. Gross. I probably didn't need a 100% to take this off, but it's just nicer. It'll be easier to gel coat this surface without having to worry about that stainless piece. I might do the same thing here for the stainless arch, just to get that out of the way and make my life a little bit easier. So what I didn't count on was not being able to access that screw because I can't lift this beyond here. So that job is going to have to wait, I'm afraid. That's too bad. And now begins what is easily the worst part of any gel coat job, and that is color matching. So to do that, I've got an old can of gel coat that I used to do this last year. I've got a fresh coat of pure white gel coat. I've got sort of the tail ends of my color for matching from last year, and I've got a fresh bunch of colors in there, as well as some catalyst for the gel coat. I also use this wax solution on the final coat to harden it up, but I don't put that in for the initial laminating layers. So the trick will be, this is the new color that I've been using. This is the old color. You can kind of see the difference. It's a little more brown, I guess, the old gel coat, versus what I ended up going with for the rest of the cockpit, which was a bit more of a bright white. Just thought it was a cleaner color. So I'm going to do this in stages. Eventually, I guess I'll do the whole boat. I'm working out from the cockpit. Right now, I'm just going to take care of these this section here and the combing tops. Oops. That's the idea anyway. So without further ado, now we get into the annoyance that is color coat. And to do that, what I'll typically do, last year I found a few drops of black many drops of this iron oxide yellow, a few of this tan, and a few of this yellow. I actually end up using all three. Now, Rayflex does give you this little card so that you can kind of match it up, and then it shows you how many drops of each it takes to get to the color that you're trying to match. I found that it was useful to give me a starting idea, but ultimately the only way to actually do it is to just start mixing yourself. And this is also for 125 milliliters of Gelcoat, whereas I'm doing the whole liter. So again, it wasn't super helpful. So I just started doing it a few drops of this and a few drops of that at a time. Mix, mix, mix. Do some dabs. I'll show you what that looks like now.
So as I mentioned earlier, I've done other videos on this. This is actually the second video on the specific wintertime boat work I'm doing. Spring work now, I suppose. So if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link up so you can go back and check that out. What I'm doing here is I'm adding drops of different colorants at a time. Now, because I mixed about 4 liters of this color last year myself, I have a pretty good idea of what needs to go into it to get to the color tone that I'm looking for. So I didn't have to do quite as many dabs this time as I did last year to get to this color. Within about 6 or 7 tries, I think I was pretty satisfied. So that's good. Once I thought I had achieved my goal, I opened up the old can and then I just started comparing them, and they seemed to be a pretty good match. Then with acetone you can wipe off the dabs, it comes clean.
Now that I got the color reasonably okay, I'm going to now apply a first coat with the hardener but without any wax. I'm going to try and blend it in. We'll see how close I actually got once I actually try and blend over this radius and then to this section that I did last year. Now I just I roll it on. I put it on too thick. I can't get it even. If I could spray it, that'd be great, but I can't do that. So I roll it on, or use a thick brush and paint it on, and try and get 2 coats on. Second coat having the hardener on it. Let that set up. Then I have to come back, and the hard part about or getting the sandpaper out is what happens then. So I'm gonna now get myself ready to paint the gel coat on.
Is there any more enticing video than watching someone paint? I don't think so. This is riveting stuff. The point here is, you'll see I'm trying to put a liberal application on, especially around the corners, because when you're sanding, it's really easy to go through the thin layer of gel coat so that the color below exposes through, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. So as much as possible, I try to put a few coats around those radii so that they stay the color that I'm trying to make them.
Okay, so now you can see here the color match. You can see a slight line, but I know from experience that once that gets sanded and buffed, you won't be able to see any difference whatsoever. So that's the first coat. I'm going to let that set up, and then I'll come back at it with a second coat with some wax on it. Okay, so it has been about 15 minutes now, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix a second batch of that gel coat with the wax solution, and I'll lay that down with a foam roller, try and get it as smooth as possible before the foam roller starts to deteriorate on me. That is the thing about this stuff. These are harsh chemicals, and household painting supplies struggle to keep up. Okay, so here is the second coat on the starboard side. Sorry I didn't film that, but I think you got the idea from the port side. Basically, it's the exact same process. So there is a slight texture to it. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but again, that'll come out with a bit of sanding, or a lot of sanding, and then it'll be ready. I may do. I don't really ever step in this area, so I don't know that I need a texture pattern there. But I might do a little bit of one just in case. Don't want it too rough because I don't want it chafing the lines. But that's that. That's project 1 of 5,000 to get ready in 40 days.
In my next video, I'm going to show you how I do the sanding. I do hand sanding to try and make sure I'm taking off as little material as possible. I wouldn't want to use a machine. And then I'll show you how I go about taping and then applying a texture coat, and what tricks I use to get a pretty decent result. Here's me putting the propeller back on. If you haven't seen the video of how to remove the Gori 2-blade propeller and clean it and make it look spiffy, I'll put a link to that below. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But thanks for watching, and I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, I hope that you'll please like and subscribe. That helps a lot. And yeah, see you next time.